we've all got to work together to create what I call the united opposition to Brexit. You can call it united opposition to bring down the Tories, united opposition to save the UK, united opposition to save the world. You know, it's all the same thing. But to me, I call it united opposition to stop Brexit. But it's the same thing. And I've created a website with all the details on. You can find that on my blog. Just Google Thomas Staffen blog WordPress. The links come up. And for some extraordinary reason, Facebook won't let me post my united opposition to Brexit. Isn't that weird? A website that's taken me, years of study, research, thinking, that's high order thinking. It's weird they call it spam, isn't it? I mean, I think maybe Facebook have got some hackers have infiltrated them who have their own agenda about what is good for the British people. They seem to think Brexit's a good idea. Funny that, isn't it? I wonder how that could have happened. I will be contacting them, and I've already appealed, but of course you never hear back, right? But I will be taking this matter forward because I think Facebook is in an important, influential position. And if you read their community service agreement and statements, I've never infringed a single one of them. I've always done, the good stuff. I'm on the good side. Obviously, there are some dark forces that have infiltrated them and that have twisted everything around so they can then say that a democratic oppositional, campaign to stop Brexit is spam. I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. So anyway, so you can't find it through that. You'll have to find it through going to my blog, Thomas Staffen WordPress blog, just those 4 words. I'm working on the ethics and calculus book still. I mean, a lot of what I'm saying here is about ethics, and that's where I think Layla's very good. She's an intelligent woman. And anyone that did a master's at my old Institute of Education is, it's such a good institution. It's where I did a lot of my primary research in peace and education and philosophy and joined up thinking. So ethics is really important. I had dealings with the philosophy of education department, and how can you educate people to be good? What is the good? What strategy of ethics do we adopt as human beings? If people are being bad and yet it's leading to power, money, wealth, tanks, control of the internet, it goes to their heads. So how can you tell those kind of people, look, stop being evil, be good? How can you combine ethical probity with moral responsibility when you get some kind of political power? We've seen so many political leaders that have been corrupted by power, as Lord Acton said. The American people are facing this choice very soon in the Trump and Pence versus Biden and Kamala Harris. I think the choice is pretty clear. Obama is speaking out very strongly in favour of Biden. I mean, he may not be as photogenic as one would like, but his brain, his heart, is in the right place. I've seen interviews with many great Americans with Biden. He is a good man. And what Obama said, which I think is very interesting, is that he made me a better president. That often Obama was facing a difficult decision and Joe Biden would be the last guy in the room and would give him really good advice. And so, Obama, one might not like everything he did. He didn't solve enough of the wars America was involved in, to my taste. He never prioritized peace enough. But that's just Americans, right? They think militarily and have done since actually the revolution. And I'm speaking as a Canadian. Now, I think Obama should have done a master's in peace studies, and he would have had a different attitude to the presidency. But compared to Trump, he is light years ahead. And compared to what's happened on the Trump presidency, it's like a Greek morality tale. When the leader is corrupt and evil and ignorant, the pestilence arrives. That's what's been happening. And the same in Britain. When the leader is corrupt and evil, the pestilence strikes. That's what's happened to Johnson. So I think the sooner we get rid of this lot, both sides of the Atlantic and get moral guidance and leadership back, we can all breathe. But how, and you know, what's the nuances of that? Well, that's what I'm trying to do in my book on ethics and calculus. I've created this thing, the ethical calculus, which is a way to make these decisions. And it's a tiny little foreshadowing of my huge work, being and knowledge. But I'm sharing this foreshadowing because I think it's urgent. We've lost how to do ethical decision making as a planet. So that's what I'm working on here. And I'm going to finish with the word of the day. I like to have a word every day, as well as a saint and different things that I celebrate on a daily basis. So this is a dictionary of philosophical terms in all languages, not just English. I did it when I was at the Institute of Education, actually, where Layla Moran studied, and I looked at the question of what are the words for things like goodness in all different languages. Would it not be helpful if we looked at what was the ancient Egyptian word for goodness, or the Phoenician word, or the Greek, or the Latin, or the Anglo-Saxon? Because I believe that words have a huge wisdom locked up in their etymology. And so I said, okay, let's make a dictionary, a comparative linguistic study of words for. And then I said, okay, let's say there's 40 key words in each language, which are the good words. You know, if we salvage them, the culture will be okay. Things like goodness, love, truth, justice, God, goddess, spirit, conscience, consciousness, wisdom, enlightenment. And I'm looking at this from a planetary perspective, from each of the religions. What would what would be the 40 best words that your culture would put forward? And I included also American Indian, Hopi, Navajo, Iroquois, words from other tribes and African tribes and so on. And it's a labour of love. It's unfinished, of course. I can't finish it. But maybe I'll finish it in heaven. I just want to share a bit of Lithuanian. It's my word of the day. So Lithuanian is a very old Indo-European language in the Baltic family of languages. It preserves very ancient roots, and linguists love it because it's so old. In their pantheon of gods and goddesses, the Lithuanians preserve very ancient, traditions similar to the ancient Indian. The word for love is mele. And the word for pray is melsti. Now, I think that this comes from an old Indo-European root meaning to soften. And it has a sense of softening, which is the same root as the word to melt in English, or smelting. It has this sense of reducing things to a liquid. So to pray is to liquefy your inner consciousness. So that everything that's stuck and blocked and grainy becomes dissolved into the liquid of lysis, which is the Greek word for enlightenment, but it means enwaterment or liquefying, hence analysis. It's a word that's core to intellecting. You can't intellect unless you can analyse. But I think that's connected to these words for love and prayer. And then the word for intelligence and reason in Lithuanian is protas, which is the same as the root of the word for the mind itself, protas. Now this, of course, is related to primary, prior, which in turn is related to per, meaning to go through, per, to go beyond. Paradoxical means to go beyond the normal truth into the transcendental, the per. So to peregrinate, all these words that mean to go through, go beyond, and so on. Prota is where the word primary or first comes from. It's connected to first in English. You get the first. You get a first at university. By showing that you can go beyond to the highest level. And that's what protas does. When you can do protas, mind, think, intellect, reasoning. I mean, I imagine the word for intellecting in Lithuania will be something to do with protas. It'll be a word we can coin, a verb of protas, right? Protas. So then you get to that first. You get to the one, which is Plato's, theos, which is the Allah or the Yahweh factor of divine intellect. So in the Quranic commentary I'm doing at the moment, God knows everything, sees everything. Every time there's a trouble, Allah says, the Quran says, refer it back to God. Well, refer it back to the protas, because that's where everything comes from and originates. So anyway, there we are. That's an example of, those are my words for the day. Lithuanian, mele, love, milsti, pray, protas, intelligence, reason, and mind. And with that thought, I want to leave you, my dear friends, and I'll see you next week. And may you have good intellecting this week, and may you find, your own path to the one. Thank you.